We flipped a coin, okay? You and me. You and me. Coin flip is sacred.
Y'all ready for a show today, baby? Go time, baby.
We've been waiting all week for this. This is where it happens right here, man. We man up, we stand up. We man up, we stand up. We all we got. We all we got. We all we got. We all we got. We all we got.
Hit anything that moves. We're playmakers, man. We the best, nothing less.
You don't like this? Trust me, you don't like it.
We're between the white lines. This is football. Welcome to the big league. I won the toss. I took the football. Drive it down that throat.
Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your skull?
Hey, every season is full of defining moments. Let's make this day a defining moment for us in our quest.
Game time! Game time!
Welcome, everybody, to the Coin Flip NFL Week 4 main slate. Should be a good one. We are starting to settle in to who we think is good, who we don't think is good, good matchups, bad matchups, pace, stats, market share, injuries, all that stuff. Still early in the season, though, so I wouldn't get too glued into a 3-game sample. Between this and Ryan and I's full game-by-game preview, you can check out early Friday morning, late Thursday night if you're still up. You should have all you need, plus our premium content has been fire. One bad thing I did last week was say fade Josh Allen. That was no bueno if you listen to that. But he was not owned by a lot, but he was definitely made someone several $100,000 up to $1 million. I'm sure he was a good play. He's in another peculiar spot this week. Let's get into it. Use the code COIN for 15% off any package right now. We have unleashed all of our football tools. We've had NFL tools. We've had tremendous feedback, put a lot of time and effort into them. Built scratch in-house. We continually update them now. Everything you need for NFL is in there, in my opinion. Couple that with the lineup optimizer, the Green Machine, which is all sports, all included. We have one price on our site. We have two prices on our site. Well, 6 prices, but 2 packages. Either content analysis, that's if you don't want the tools, the optimizer, the lineup builder, all that, or full package. Everything includes every sport, everything we cover. Right now is a great time to check it out. You get 7 days free. So if you don't like it, just cancel. No big deal. I don't recommend this, but you can literally sign up and cancel right afterwards if you want to. I mean, obviously that's not what we want you to do, but because if you cancel, then you obviously lose a little bit of the discount if you do want to come back. But I just stay on and try it for the week. You get tonight. We still got college football. Bobby's got a great write-up in there. We got Thursday Night Football. I've already got my Showdown article out. We got a 3-game college football slate tomorrow, full slate on Saturday, full slate Monday, or NFL. NASCAR has 5 weeks left this season, then it fires right back up in February. PGA 2021-2022 season is well underway. We are on week 2, about halfway through the first round today. Good to start for the calls so far, but plenty of golf left. We know that. We'll see how that turns out. So we got you covered. NBA right around the corner. Come check us out. Fill up the Listener League. If we do not fill it up this week, I'm going to stop asking DraftKings to give us an NFL one. If we can't fill it up, we can't fill it up. It is what it is. We have no issues filling up the golf. Go fill it up. It's $500 the first, flat payouts, limited rake, 3 max entry. We will have the golf returning back. TOC probably, maybe Sony. We'll look at that. But let's get this full. Rate and review us on iTunes. Goes a long way, helps us. It's where I pull our big winners from. 2 easiest and best ways to get into the big drawings that I give away is rate and review us on iTunes, and then subscribe to us on YouTube. Like this video you're watching, and tell me your favorite quarterback play of the week. I think there's a lot of good options. You can make arguments for several of them. Mahomes probably the highest owned, him or Josh Allen. Stafford will be right up there. He's a little bit cheaper. But tell me your favorite quarterback play of the week. On Underdog right now, if your season sucks right now or your best balls are off to a bad start or you missed best ball the first time around, you just found out what it was about, download the app Underdog. they just fired up their Resurrection Week 6 through Week 17 best ball drafts for NFL. Deposit $10, use the code GUP, get a free $10. That'll get you 2 entries into the Resurrection. Or if you want to play tonight, there's a Thursday night Rumble. I think 50,000 in prizes tonight. There's a Sunday one, 60,000 in prizes. A lot of things you can do on Underdog. They have NBA best balls and NHL best balls. So you only get 2 weeks to fill up this NFL one. I think it's only 11,200 total entry. So, I mean, you don't have to throw in a whole bunch of teams. You can throw in 10 or 20, have some fun with it. I'm going to do some. They're fast draft only, so it doesn't take too long. We have plenty of talk in the GC Warrior Room Slack if you want to check it out. The link is in the podcast as well, or go to, you just download the app and use the code GUP, or go to gupscorner.com/affiliates. We will go through our prediction strike watch, our plays, fades, and values, my favorite stacks, my favorite Super 7 lines, my upset of the week, Survivor plays of the week, monkey knife fight, and then we will get out of here. Try to keep it to 30 minutes or so. There's plenty of content out there in the industry. I want it to be, concise and to the things you need. We also have the other pod with Ryan now, so you can get all the deep thoughts in there. That one's still only 45, 50 minutes a week. Prediction strike, you can join now. Use the code GUP and get a free player share. What is it? I have a full video with the head of strategy. If you want to go check it out, search Prediction Strike in YouTube, you can find it. If you're a member, you can get in the site and find it. But it's basically a stock market for fantasy sports that never ends. So it's not like, hey, buy shares tonight and then we're tabbing them out Sunday in golf or something like that. It's you're buying into this player's profile for their career for as long as you want. You can sell anytime, buy anytime. It's pretty cool. I'm really enjoying it. Slowly building up my portfolio as I get to know it better. Nice website, great app. They just had a big update on the app as well. The link is in the bio if you want to check it out. If you don't like the player you get, that's what someone said. Well, if I get someone I hate, you can sell it immediately. You get the money for the shares of the player and then go buy whoever you want. My top 4 this week that I'm watching, may buy some shares of. Jacoby Myers, 75 cents. I think long-term with Jones there and the way that they like to throw, that could be a steal. Brian Edwards, $1.12. Like how Carr is looking this year. I like Henry Ruggs. I've talked about him, but I do like Edwards. Was a stud at South Carolina. Antonio Gibson, $2.39. Seems kind of cheap for a guy that's got the talent if they will just use him properly. And then my favorite buy of the week right now is OBJ, $2.14. I think he's going to be up there for Comeback Player of the Year. It's going to be hard. This is one of the hardest Comeback Player of the Year awards there's been. But I think he has a solid year going out, and I really like him this week. We'll see that here in a second. So those 4, go check them out. Prediction Strike, get the app. It's great. Or go look at the website. It's awesome as well. You get a bigger picture on the website as far as like trends and the way things are going, but the app is tremendous also. They have NBA and NFL now. They will be adding UFC, soccer, and then in the spring, PGA, which I think Gup's Corner will have some insight into that for them. So stay tuned. That'll be a good thing as well. The playbook. I go position by position, plays, value, and fades. Quarterback, my 2 plays this week. It's a weird week. As I've dug into it, I'm like, if you're not in, I don't want to say weird, I want to say good, because I kind of like the way it's setting up. Obviously, the Rams-Cardinals is going to be the most popular game right now. I think Cowboys-Panthers are the most balanced, popular game. And then it's pretty tight after that for many games. They're all within, a few percents of each other. Chiefs, Eagles are 3rd for me in total game ownership, but it's heavily on the Chiefs. Same with Buffalo, Houston. Buffalo's the 3rd highest team on the slate right now, 56.2 team ownership to Houston's 5.3, which may be the lowest I've ever projected. It's basically Cooks and I don't even know, maybe they're tied in, or I don't even know who I have for the other one, but not very good there for Houston. But if you get outside or want to get outside a Ram stack, even a Kyler stack, Cowboy stack, Chiefs stack, it really gets thin on where good stacks are, good potential plays. Obviously, if you want to play the Chiefs, this is a week I may consider playing Chiefs. I'm not 100% sure yet. They are on the road. That gives me a little bit of hope that Philly can keep it close. Philly looks like the easy kind of, Philly plus 7.5 seems like a very sharp bet, because the world is going to be on the Chiefs minus 7.5, coming off back-to-back losses in the first time since when. Philly looked horrible against Dallas on Monday. It just seems like that has upset written all over it. Not winning, but the cover and the spread Eagles wise. Right now, I'm not going to touch it. But my two favorite plays. First one is Lamar. I haven't projected under 5% right now. Could be the lowest projection of the year. He's on the road at Denver. Hasn't looked great. I just think Denver is getting a little more love than they should. This game total is not great. His implied team total, it's a pick'em game. But 7,500, if he's going to be that low, I'll take Lamar every week at low ownership. Even if you play him naked, I'm fine with that. My boy Hollywood couldn't catch a ball, save his life last week. But you could pair him up with Watkins, Hollywood, any of that kind of stuff. But I will have some Lamar this week for sure. My second one is Dak. I think he won't be much higher owned, and you're getting a pretty good discount. There are some good values. We'll get to those in a second. Carolina's best cornerback, rookie stud, just went out, J.C. Horn. So that's not a good thing for Carolina to lose one of your best corners going up against what I think is top 3 offense in the league, especially wide receiver wise. I think Dak could have a big game. I'm hoping Carolina, even without McCaffrey, is able to keep it close enough so Dak can throw more. I don't want it to turn into a big running game. That's my only fear. But I do like Dak, 6,700. My two values, Jimmy G is the one that I'll be interested to get Ryan's thoughts on the couple up with him. That's his boy. That's his team, the 49ers. I mean, I know he's taking a lot of crap, and they drafted Lance. He's actually looked somewhat sharp. This is a game where I think he's going to have to score. Seattle will score on San Francisco. I love this mix and match game stack out of this whole situation. He's super cheap. He's not going to rate out very well as far as projected points and all that. My original, he's like my 17th quarterback. But when we start breaking down value as far as cheap, I'm going to bump him by the time we get to final rankings. I've already bumped him behind the scenes some. But $5,600 for a guy. Still has some rushing upside. Nothing crazy. Running backs are beat all up. If he has to throw, Brandon Ayuk is coming along. You got Debo. Kettle's getting into gear coming off his injury plague season. I really think that could be a sneaky way to get into a really good game where I think that this could go well over and be one of the highest scoring games of the week. Love me some Jimmy G. A super cheap, sneaky, this would be, I wouldn't say Millie Maker type play, but definitely in that realm. High, if there's a whole bunch of entries in a contest, Jacoby Brissett at home against the Colts, Waddle. I think they have enough weapons. Gesicki. Colts are kind of struggling coming in. $5,100 opens up a ton. I don't think you have to do a lot of stacking. You could play him with Gesicki and then maybe Pittman. Those three, and then bring in some pieces like Tyreek and Kelsey, where you're not getting the full stack from Mahomes, but you're getting some big, whoever you like there, maybe like Tyreek and CEH, or go into the Dallas game and get Lamb or the Seahawks game, and pick up, a couple pieces there. I think starting with him opens up so much. And if he gets a rushing touchdown, which we know they can use him in the goal line situation, that's good. I do like Taylor as well. If you're wanting to do some kind of full stack, or game mini stack. I like Taylor, Pittman on that side. I like Brissett, Waddle, Gesicki. You don't have to get crazy there, but I do think that's a good value play that I have my eyes on. My fade right now, just on price alone, I don't think he's going to be that high on, but it is Jalen. I worry, like we kind of saw Monday, if they get behind, which Kansas City can score, will he be able to settle down and throw the football? If they know he can potentially run. Now, KC's defense is not great, and Philly's at home, so I hesitant there. But all these other guys, I can't call it. Mahomes, I can see it. Allen, although I worry a little bit about a blowout, but if it's a blowout, was he part of it? I can see it. Lamar I've already talked about. Kyler we'll get to in a little bit. So there's not Stafford. I think could be in a good shootout game. That could be the game of the week. So I'm not going to tell you to fade someone just to have a fade, because they're so spread out this week up there. The highest ownership I have is 11% right now, and that's Josh Allen, and Mahomes right behind him. So as far as not spending the money, I wouldn't spend 69 on Hurts right now. I think there's better plays out there. Running back, this was probably pretty easy for me right now. It was probably scary, but Henry, I'm going to go there. He'll probably be the highest owned. Maybe I just get overweight. I actually hope Brown or Julio plays, because then it makes it a little less chalky, I think. But if they don't, man, this is going to be a Henry game. Plus, you can get into a nasty, just super chalky stack. People playing Henry, Westbrook or Rodgers if Julio's out and Brown's out. Those cheap wide receivers for Tennessee. But I'm going to watch that, and we'll talk about it more as we get closer to Sunday morning. But I just think he's in a potential smash spot, and even if he's 23, 24%, just we can get overweight. Maybe the price gets some people off of him, but there's so much value. That's what I'm talking about. If Julio and Brown are out, well, people go, well, I can just take one of those cheap wide receivers and pair it with Henry, and my average cost on those two isn't that bad. So I do like him, though. I'm not gonna pull you off him this week. I'd rather play Henry over Kamara personally. I think Kamara will be the second highest owned on the slate. I like Swift. I loved him, talked about him a lot. He's getting even more involved in the passing game. Chicago's D isn't great. Detroit's still playing hard. Goff likes to throw down to that running back. $6,200. I think it's a great spot for him. I like Swift. And then I like Hubbard. I'll be interested to see where his ownership goes as I start listening to the pods or reading now that I moved from golf onto full football. I got him around that 9-10%, but Dallas D looked good, and Micah Parsons is a big difference. Diggs is great. 5,900 though, in that type of setup is still a good. I know he's nowhere near CMC, but man, he was a stud in college. Go watch some highlight tapes. I could take a chance there, especially if I get me a little Dallas stack and come back with Chuba. And you're going to hear my absolute favorite play on the slate in a little bit. One of them, one of his wide receivers. So like some Chuba this week. Values for me, I like Henderson. I think he's going to play. I know he's been kind of questionable. 5,600 seems cheap and a good game setup there. I think if he's in there, they're still giving him most of the carries and touches. So I like Henderson. I still like Javonte Williams not getting off that. They're about 50-50 now. I told y'all, I think within a month he'll be getting more carries and touches and market share than Gordon. Baltimore's D isn't what it used to be. He's still 5,000. Not my favorite play on the slate, but if you are looking for some cheap there, I don't mind Javonte Williams. And then Patterson. I think, I wish I'd have played more of him the last 2 weeks. Played some, but not enough. 4,900. He's just getting involved in that offense. Washington's D isn't what we thought it was going to be. Atlanta's D isn't what we think it's going to be. So could we have like a weird shootout here with the Falcons, Redskins? Washington football team, sorry. The problem is, like, as bad as those Ds have been, the offense haven't been great either. So I'm not too fired up, but there's not a lot of true value on the slate, which is one thing I like about the way DraftKings is being proactive. They didn't throw Chuba out there at 4,400 as a backup. I mean, they almost 6,000, which is still good value, but it makes you pause and think. It's not an auto, smash. So I do like Patterson. He's getting involved quite a bit. My favorite would be Chubb right now, just on price. I think he's in a good situation per se, but they're on the road. I actually think the Vikings are a good underdog play this week. Seems like it just feels like one of those Browns letdown spots, like an ugly Baker game. I hate to say that, but at 7,000, there's so many other spots I'd rather be at this week than Chubb. So he's kind of my fade of the week this week. Wide receiver. First is Devontae Adams. I love him this week, even if I don't play Rodgers. I think he'll get his against Pittsburgh. That the defense is okay, but they may be able to stop the run a little bit if they can keep it somewhat competitive. A nasty game. I still think Adams is up there. Could go overlooked because so many people, I don't want to say overlooked, he'll be used, but so many people are going to be trying to still get the Cup. I mean, that dude's on a one. Tyreek is right there, or go down to Metcalf, Lockett, Lamb, Cooper. I can see his ownership down a little bit, so I do like Devontae Adams. The next one I just talked about, CeeDee Lamb. I do like him. $700 more than Cooper. I think we'll keep his ownership down still. We just mentioned the cornerback being out for the Panthers. I think this is a great spot. I like both of them if you want to throw them both in a lineup. Certainly no issues there. But I like Lamb a hair more because I think its ownership will be less, having to pay the $700 more, and I like that leverage. OBJ, I talked about him earlier on the prediction strike. Love him this week. $5,800 is a real reason. I mentioned the Browns could struggle, but I think Baker's going to definitely be trying to keep him in rhythm, and he looked pretty solid last week. I could see him having a pretty decent game. Could get some pieces out of that game too, kind of like we did last week. I don't mind an OBJ a Jefferson. I still will go back to an Osborne, even though he killed everybody last week, which is a great reason why you should go back to him. Now you get a super low owned Osborne. Like, they're not going to forget him. They're still trying to throw the ball, especially let's see what happens with Cook. But I do like OBJ. And then I think it's a toss up between Metcalf and Lockett. They're $100 apart. I still think Lockett becomes a little bit higher owned. 49ers secondary is not great. So that's why I think we could get into a game script of a kind of a back and forth shootout type deal, which brings that Jimmy G in. He's so much cheaper than like Wilson. And you could play one of these, both of these. You know, it doesn't matter to me. It's a coin flip. No pun intended. I lean Metcalf because I think he'll still be lower owned. He's $100 more. But I like both of them. Values, my favorite play, I don't think he'll score the most by no means, but one of my favorite DK values and overall potential of the week is Marshall. Terrence Marshall for the Panthers. They just traded Arnold away, which, you know, I think the tight end behind it will still get some, you know, looks and potential. You know, I actually forgot to bring him in, the new one in, because of the way I had the Arnold in there and I had to switch it on the tight end on my initial rankings, but I will bring him in. But at 4,000, man, I just think this kid's going to be a special player. I've loved him. I've talked about him a lot. You guys are probably nauseous about it so much, but I really think, I mean, that's a min price. So I don't hate the other ones by any means. But I really like him this week, and I like him moving forward. I know Robbie Anderson's good. No question he's going to see an uptick. But I think Marshall can do more with the ball, and I really think it's going to wind up being DJ Moore and Marshall being the two market share leaders long term, in my opinion, for the Panthers. Next one is Osborne. I just mentioned him up there. Tommy Tremble. That's the one I was thinking about. Just came to my head. I think could be chalky this week. $2,500. I think he's going to be the guy. They got him involved rushing last week as well. But I'm going to go back to Osborne. Tommy Tremble's a tight end. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump around there. We'll get to him in a second. But Osborne, I'll go back there. I just will. If you're picking some pieces out, he's 3,700. If you're trying to stack one of these big high dollar stacks, I still think he's a good play at that price. But I would rather pay $300 more for Marshall. I think Marshall's upside is better. And then, you know, I only give two values, but one thing I will say, and I just mentioned it, we got to watch the tight ends wide receiver situation. Both could be out. One could be out. None could be out. I have Westbrook Akini. I don't know how to say his last name. I watched him in college a lot. He was a stud. And Chester Rogers, in my rankings right now, 3,300 and 3,200. Probably a coin flip. I think Rogers I lean a little bit more. But we'll see how many is out and who is out, and I'll update that as the week goes along. Just something to watch. My fade is Hopkins. I'm not saying he's done, but at that price, I think Kyler's getting some more weapons now that I would rather, you know, if I'm going to go that route with Kyler, I don't mind having Christian Kirk or Chase Edmonds or Rondell Moore. I don't mind Hopkins either, but if I'm going to fit this week and like maybe try to get a Kyler and Derrick Henry lineup, I'd rather pay down and go more Kirk or, you know, something like that. So I don't really – any other wide receivers in that range, which probably means a Hopkins smash week, right? But I'll take my chances there. If you're doing a whole bunch of MME, certainly you want to put Hopkins in some, you know, say you're going to take all those Cardinals and mix and match them. You want to do that. But if 1 to 3 max type stuff, if you're trying to build a lineup, Hopkins is the one that I would pass on and I'd take my chances with. Moore was close to, got a jet sweep and got it down the half-yard line. I think people are thinking a little different of him this week if he gets that in. Tight ends, my plays, I like Higbee and I like Kettle. Kettle, you know, obviously pairs well with Jimmy G. Love Higbee. I've talked about him week in, week out. I think he's in a good spot against Arizona. He's a little bit cheaper than Kettle. Obviously, always, every week, just a reminder, Kelsey's in play every week if you want to go there. I see him as a wide receiver 1. He's the only super high-priced tight end this week. If you want to play him, you can go double tight end and use him in the flex or use the other one in the flex, whoever's later. I certainly see that. No issues there. And then the values, I kind of have 3 with the Tommy Tremble deal. Tremble is going to be one for sure. I need to get him back into the list. I like Conklin out of Minnesota. I think especially if you're trying to do a little mini stack there or pick a few pieces, maybe go Jefferson, Conklin, or Osborne, Conklin with OBJ or something like that. Just a little small cheap stack that you can put in with a bigger stack. I don't mind him. $3,500. And then Gesicki's 4,000, which, you know, isn't super cheap, but when you're looking at Kelsey's 8,100, Kittle's 5,900, Pitts is 5,000, Andrews is 5,300, Hawkinson's 5,800, who killed everybody last week. Gesicki, especially that Brissett stack, that little baby mini stack I talked about, that would be a good little pair. You get $9,100 and you get your starting quarterback and a tight end. And you could put Henry in there, Tyreek. You could double tight end, go Kelsey. You could go Metcalf. I mean, there's so many options if you start with that, and you just need those two to kind of overachieve, which isn't stupid crazy at home against the Colts. I kind of like that as a good little sneaky stack this week. My fade is Andrews, just because of pricing and situation. I don't mind him at all, but at 5,300, I'd rather, you know, move up or down. So I'd rather go up to like a Hawkinson that no one's going to be back on. I'd rather go up $600 to Kettle, go down to Higbee, Conklin, some of these other guys. Just a situational deal. And I don't mind playing Lamar naked any week, but especially this week. Defenses for me, 2 plays will be Titans. The Jets are just so bad. I talked about the Broncos last week. I played them some. Probably should have played them more. 3,900. While it seems super high, I think this is a week that you can fit it if you want to. Same with the Saints. They're my other play. Playing the Giants. Jones turns the ball over a lot. Saints are at home. Big home returning game. First time they're playing back in New Orleans since the hurricane. I wouldn't hate the Saints at all. Value for me, Lions, 2,200 against the Bears. We saw that offensive line is just not good. And the Lions have been playing tough, even against good teams like the Ravens. If I'm paying down cheap, they're my first option. My second one's the Cowboys. You know, I banged up, no McCaffrey. I could see, just like we saw Monday night, they're flying around the ball. They're active. They're fast. You know, Darnold's looking good, but we have seen him be, you know, a little susceptible at times back in the past. But I'd rather pay $400 down for the Lions, but another option, because I give you 2, is $2,600 like the Cowboys. Gut feel plays of the week. I got 5 of them for you. Chase Edmonds is number 1. I love the situation here. You know, Connors is obviously taking over most of the goal line stuff. Plus, you always have Kyler. Could, you know, cherry pick a touchdown there as well. But I think if you're game scripting this to be the Rams keep rolling and ticking, and if the Cardinals got to keep up with them, Edmonds could be involved a lot. He might not even score a touchdown, but could get in that 15, 18 point range. And at 5,500, I think he's going to be low owned when you start looking at some stacks there that people may not get to. So I kind of like Edmonds. Jonathan Taylor, talked about him a little bit earlier. He's a guy I don't mind getting to. I don't think people want to pay up for him this week. If you're doing that little cheap Brissett stack, maybe Taylor, you run that back. Brendan Ayuk is coming, whatever the reasons be, whether it was his hammy and recovering or whatever. He's coming back in. He's back now, getting more involvement. This fits into a little 49er stack that I talked about starting with Jimmy G. Rondell Moore, I'm still going there. I just mentioned, I think if he gets that touchdown, he probably gets a little more hype this week. He's still not too expensive at 4,600. And De'Ami Brown is my last one. I think this could be a good under-the-radar play. 3,400. He was a stud at North Carolina. Going up against Atlanta, maybe he can break a play. So super cheap. He could be a one-off, or maybe you get a little mini stack out of that game. You know, Ridley, Pitts, Brown, or Patterson, Ridley, Brown, like those 3. I don't mind that at all. Heineke's, he's on the fringe of being potential play because he can run some. Just at his price, like I'd rather go to Jimmy G for me right now against Seattle for $300 less. That was the only reason why I didn't go Heineke as a cheap value, but I don't mind De'Ami Brown. I like him a lot. I've liked him in the preseason a little bit. Just, again, that's why it's called gut feel. He's $3,400, just a good MME flyer. My favorite stacks, my number 1 is I like Cowboys. Dak, Lamb, Cooper, Schultz, Zeke, mix and match. You could even throw Pollard in there if you want to. And I like Kyler. I like that Arizona stack. I think most will go to stack the Rams, deservingly so. But I like Kyler Edmonds, Moore, and Kirk, they're all, other than Kyler, it gets you a fairly cheap stack if you avoid Hopkins. You can throw Hopkins in there if you're going to build several lineups, but do a little stack out of that and then run it back with like maybe Henderson. Most people may not do that, or maybe you run it back with Henderson Woods and just hope Kupp finally messes up, or run it back with Henderson, Higbee, Woods, Higbee. I think there's some good ways to get a good game stack there and still be unique. That I like Kyler. My sneaky stack, if you hadn't figured it out by now, this was close with the Brissett one, but the Brissett's not a full on. I think you just, 2 or 3 man. But I like Jimmy G, Ayuk, Debo, Kittle. Take those 4, mix and match them. I think that could be a really good sneaky stack. Run it back with Lockett or Metcalf, your favorite. I kind of lean Metcalf. I think that'd be a good way to start a build out. My 2 favorite Super 7 lines over on carboncontest.com. Falcons +1, Cowboys -4.5. I like both of those games this week. I think the Falcons do pull off the win. I guess that technically would be an upset. My upset of the week, though, is Seahawks +3. I think it's going to be a great game. Seattle's on the road, coming off a loss. I just think Wilson shows up. I think it's a tremendous game down to the end, and Seattle wins it late. By 1 or 2 points, late field goal, something like that. Survivor pool, we're not going to get cute this week. If you have the Bills, you probably use them. I mean, that's pretty safe. Survive and move on. That's all we're trying to do. If you happen to use the Bills already, I kind of like the Titans against the Jets. That seems pretty easy as well right now. Monkey Knife Fight, as I mentioned, use deposit up to $100, get 100% match, dollar for dollar. Go to monkeyknifefight.com, use the code GUPS. The link is also in the audio podcast. They got UFC rolling. They got college football, NFL, NBA will be coming around. PGA, I gave my picks for PGA on Wednesday's pod. My college football play of the week, a little bit of a bigger payout one. It's a more or less prize selection, 4x your money. I'm going to the Texas TCU game. I think it's going to be a great game. I think Texas covers. But I do think there's some points scored on both sides. I like Duggan over 24.5 points, Casey Thompson over 24.5 points, and Robinson over 24.5 points. Pick those 3. You get 4 extra money if all that happens. My NFL play of the week, a more or less as well, 3 extra money. I like Mahomes over 315.5 yards and Dak over 290.5 yards. So those are my 2 Monkey Knife Fight plays of the week. Go check them out. They have college football props now. You can use Bobby's information from his article and stuff to look at some. Take mine if you want to. NFL, like I mentioned, UFC, golf, I give those away every Wednesday. So go take a look at that. Reminder, Coin gets you 15% off any package right now. Includes a 7-day free trial. We have a ton of information, a ton of tools. I'll be doing a little preview, review, highlight video of all of our stuff, showing the NFL tools, our lineup optimizer. I'll post it out there for everybody to see. Come check it out. I'll be live for the Audible, 10 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday. We'll get our last minute injury checks and all that kind of stuff and talk up who what's changed from, last minute projections, ownership, all that kind of stuff. Ryan and I's pod will drop way later tonight or early in the morning. It'll be up before early in the morning in case you have a Friday morning commute. It'll be 45, 50 minutes, well worth your time. It's a great little deal we did last week, and hopefully we can continue it this week. College football will be out tomorrow morning as well. The read option with Bobby the Goat Burger. We simply have the best college football coverage there is. Hopefully we smash tonight. Come join us now. Check it out. I promise you won't hate it. If you do, you can cancel. You never get charged. Do it in the first 7 days. I appreciate you guys. You have a blessed evening. Good luck tonight with NFL and college football, and we'll talk to you later.